touchdown, time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird gang nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man Saul Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randall. Season here, really time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.
What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and I am joined as always by my guy Brandon. And it is Philly the podcast, man. So y'all know what it is, man. It is another mock draft series. So we are going to get into the Patriots pick today. So I had to go get the guy that knows his Patriots better than a lot of, and I'm going to steal a lot of stuff from his show because I love how it's set up. We were talking about it in the back room, but my guy Ray from Dear Pats Nation, how's it going, man?
Fellas, let me tell you something. There are people listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, whatever it may be, who've been watching me for years, and they are shocked that I have joined an Eagles podcast because in 2018, after I had a rough experience on a couple of different podcasts, and the fan base, I'm going to tell you right now, Philly, nobody trolls like a Philly fan. Okay, listen, what we do for a living, you guys know it. Trolling, being trolled comes with the territory. It's a part of the game. But nobody trolls like a Philly fan. It's the only fan base, congratulations, to be honest with you, that ever got under my skin. And it doesn't even, it's not just Eagles fans. It's Eagles fans, Flyers fans, Sixers fans, Phillies fans talking to me about Howard from 20 years ago, But Ross, that's my guy. Look at them all. So they're all here shocked that I'm here. But I watched your guys' stuff, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll start extending that olive branch a little bit and rejoin it. So thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. It's funny that you say that because me and Brandon were having this conversation earlier about getting people on the show and stuff. And it's Philly has a reputation. We definitely have a reputation, but I'm glad that you checked us out. We don't bite. We're very laid back and relaxed. So I promise we won't bring up 2017 too much. Of course, we're gonna have to bring it up here and there, but
and I'll just bring up 2004, right, or 05, so we're good.
Or you could just bring up the rest of our existence. I mean, that's really what it comes down to at this point. But before we get into the football talk, let them know what you do over at Pats Nation. Let my my audience know what it is that you do over there and where they can find you, man.
Absolutely. So you can find us over on YouTube called our YouTube page called Dear Pats Nation. We also have a podcast called Dear Pats Nation. I'm formerly with a company called Sportscaster, my contract just ended 2 weeks ago. So we're back on our own. I'm with my co-host Connor, and we bring on people like Sarah Marshall, who's a writer for Full Press Coverage. We got our boy Tyson called Master at Work, which is he's a Patriots troll, and I love him. He's my guy, one of the best in the business in that sense. We have Gabby Hurlbut from ESPN and also Boston Balling, and we talk Patriots and Red Sox mostly, a little bit of Celtics talk. I don't know a lot about Celtics. I'm the host, so I don't bring it up a whole lot, but you can find us over there. Find us over on Twitter too at Dear Pats Nation. You can find me at DPN_Ray and our Facebook page as well. I pitch it again because it's facebook.com/DPN Sports Talk. I drop a couple of blogs there every day. We mainly talk about the Patriots. We talk a little bit of NFL as well.
Definitely. And it definitely gets my stamp of approval. Like I said, I'm definitely a fan. So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit of football, right? So obviously a huge transition for fans, and obviously the franchise. Talk to me a little bit about how this season went, starting it off, obviously getting Cam Newton. How was that? Wasn't the best of experiments, but just kind of how did you feel about the season overall?
Okay, so we actually got to go back before Cam Newton for you to really understand how this season felt for me. Because prior to Cam Newton, I had conceded the 2021 season. You know what I mean? I sat there and I was like, all right, guys. I'm like, Jarrett Stidham's our only quarterback. We just signed Brian Hoyer. They're fighting it out to be the starting quarterback. Julian Edelman's a shell of himself. Brady's gone. Gronk is gone. We've got Jacoby Myers, N'Keal Harry, and Damier Byrd. As soon as the opt-out started, when Dante Hightower opted out, I was like, that's it. We're done. Hightower was the guy that needed to be there, and our defense suffered for it. And I was cool with it. And my co-host, Connor, he's a homer. Sarah's a homer. But Connor had this ridiculous. He told me that the ceiling was like 12 or 13 wins. The floor was 11, and I was like, no, this is like an 8-8 team. Like this was pre Cam Newton, and then Cam Newton came into the fold on my daughter's birthday, boys. So I'm sitting there. We're celebrating my daughter's birthday. I get a text from my boy. He's like, "You guys look good again." I'm like, "What happened?" And I see Cam Newton. I'm up north. I'm like, oh my God, I'm on the phone with people. Suddenly there was hope again, right? Because if you think about all you had to do is stay healthy. That's all I said is all he has to do is stay healthy. And this Patriots season we're set. During the off season, I try to be as realistic as possible. I don't get overly negative. I don't get overly positive. I stay as realistic as possible. During the season, I support my boys. I support my team. By week 13, like I was out of excuses for Cam Newton. Like it was, all the props every week he came out. I need to play better. It's my fault. And we're like, we love the accountability, but now it's just empty words. And I think that's where the disappointment hit me. If they wouldn't have signed Cam Newton, I was completely prepared for what we were going to go through. That being said, gentlemen, and I try to tell my fellow Patriot fans this on a regular basis. First of all, I'm around the pre-Tom Brady days, so I didn't experience Super Bowls every year. I was around for the Drew Bledsoe days, so it's not like I had it, that much worse, but we had seasons that we didn't make the playoffs, and I had to go through the Pete Carroll times and all that kind of stuff. Here's what I try to tell my fellow Patriot fans. What we've seen the last 20 years is probably never going to happen again. We didn't see this. You talk about all the dynasties, the Green Bays, the Dallas, the Pittsburghs. They didn't do what the Patriots had. 2 separate dynasties in 2 decades. The Patriots did not have a 20-year dynasty. They had the early 2000s, and then they had the late 2000s. But they were really competitive in between. Missed the playoffs one time. There's no team that was consistently that good. For me to be upset over one season, it's ridiculous. And like I'm blessed in so many different ways in life, but when it comes to sports, I'm a fan of the New England Patriots and I'm a fan of Bayern Munich, 2 teams that have been consistently good for the last 15, 20 years and have won championships and this and that. So for me, I already said to people, you will not hear real negativity come out of my mouth until I have 5 more seasons in a row of what we just had in New England. Otherwise, Patriot fans need to suck it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right there. You've had all this success for years and years and years to the point that we're sitting back like, yo, give someone else a chance. But I know you said that you've been like a fan before Tom Brady. There's a lot of Patriot fans that have only known Tom Brady. That's about it. Talk to us a little bit how weird it was not only seeing Tom Brady not a Patriot, but not retiring by going to another team and then winning the Super Bowl within the same year.
All right, so a lot of people know this about me who follow me. I was bitter when Tom Brady left the Patriots. Like, I was not a Tom Brady fanboy. I'm a New England Patriots fan. It's, the name on the front is more important than the name on the back. I wish Tom Brady nothing but bad things when he left the Patriots. I said, I don't want to see him get hurt. And outside of that, I wish him nothing else. That being said, as the season went on, my bitterness dissipated a little bit, but I had shtick now and I had to stick with it. Right. So I had to stick with my feelings. So I continued on with that, but it sucked. It sucked watching him hoist the Lombardi, but not for the reasons other people are thinking, because people are like, oh yeah, you're, because there's Brady. And I'm like, no, it's because the moment I said this to Connor, and it's, I got receipts for everything I said. The moment Tom Brady signed with Tampa, I said, if he wins a Super Bowl, we are going to hear nothing but fire Bill Belichick. The Patriots are a mess. I go, it's going to be the fan base. It's going to be the Boston media, which, by the way, is the worst media in all of sports. I know Philly's there, but you're not quite there for Boston media. You're not quite there. Trust me. Trust me. the Boston media, the day after the Patriots win a Super Bowl, already start their articles of why they're not going to win the Super Bowl the following year and what's wrong with the team and how Bill Belichick has let the city down. So anyway, and the fan base is exactly the same. So I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. And I find now, you know, Connor and I, like, we have over on our merch shop, we have a shirt that says official fans of the Bill Belichick, or no, official members of the Bill Belichick fanboy club. Like, that's all we do now is defend Bill Belichick. And I'm like, it's been 6 months of bad football, literally 6 months of bad football in the last 20 years. Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Even 08, when they didn't make the playoffs, they went 11-5 with Matt Castles. People are like, oh yeah, but they went 11-5. I'm like, yeah, and they went 11-5 in 2018 when they won the Super Bowl too. So 11-5 is a respectable number. You should make the playoffs going 11-5. I mean, Washington made it under 500, you know, so 11-5. You want to talk about a division? I know that's your guys' division, but wow.
Yeah.
You ain't got to tell us. Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. The name on the front is more important than the name on the back. You know, I'm over here pointing at Brandon because I've been saying that for a long time with a certain someone that we won't talk about that's on a different team right now. But, you know, you brought up Bill Belichick. And I want to ask you, because I have been seeing a lot of headlines saying, you know, this, that, and the third about Bill Belichick. I've always knew that he was great. As a head coach, I always knew that he was one of the top two, if not number one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess if you're a historian, you can make arguments. But at least in my generation, he's been one of the best coaches of all time. So I want to ask you this. What do you think is going to be his mindset? What do you think is going to be his direction? Because even just a year or two ago, we were kind of looking at Brady saying maybe when he goes, Belichick goes. You know, it doesn't look that way anymore. But how long do you realistically think Belichick is going to ride this thing out?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry, there we go. Sorry, guys. Wi-Fi.
I thought you were thinking very hard on that one.
Yeah,
No.
You could have played it off.
No, it's become, my Wi-Fi's become such a running joke on our show. I'll just freeze like this to make then they'll actually think I'm frozen because I freeze all the time. I should have warned you before you click live. But yeah, so you know, the Bill Belichick thing is interesting because I don't know what his mindset is. I can tell you what my mindset is. My mindset is, what's the point of going for it this season when you're not ready? Like, people have so much emphasis on the quarterback. The subject of our podcast tonight at 9 p.m., just so I can throw a plug if anybody wants to watch it, is going to be based on an article I read today out of the Boston Herald that said that this is the most crucial free agency and draft in Bill Belichick's career. All right, well, get a quarterback. Who are you going to get? Cam Newton, Ryan Fitzpatrick, who apparently is retiring now? Are you going to get Jameis Winston? I mean, even if you got Patrick Mahomes, you have no wide receivers. You have no tight ends. You're going to lose Joe Thuney, your best offensive lineman. You don't have a defensive tackle that can stop the run. You don't have an edge rusher that can get to the quarterback. And you've got an aging secondary that you need to replace. You can't address that in one offseason. You know, I would like to, I know we're going to get into the draft, so I don't want to give too much. But yeah, I think people talk about Belichick's arrogance of, oh, now that Brady won it, he's going to go all in and get it. And I've heard or read that he's going to be aggressive. But I always say, anything you hear about the Patriots, take with a grain of salt, because you hear that kind of, you know, you hear stuff all the time and it never turns into fruition. They don't talk to anybody. It's going to be interesting. I think that, so I'm trying not to give away my show tonight. I'll put it this way. I'll give one line. You guys can, and if anybody wants to hear the full explanation, come tune in at 9 p.m. Eastern time on Dear Pats Nation. But if Jimmy Garoppolo, there's going to be two ways this season goes. And it's going to come down to if they get Jimmy Garoppolo or don't get Jimmy Garoppolo. And if they get Garoppolo, then you have to go all in. If you don't go with Garoppolo, I'm fine with the Patriots being mediocre for another season. And then I think by 2022, 2023 time, they could be back in contention again. But it's going to come down to those two things.
Before, I know you say you don't want to get too deep into it because you're going to talk about it on the show, but if Jimmy Garoppolo is in the conversation in your mind, are you pretty much done with Cam Newton, or would you welcome him back for another year?
If Cam Newton was coming to smoke cigars and drink fine whiskey and hang out with the boys, all the power. I think Cam Newton is one of the greatest people without meeting somebody. One of the greatest people you've never met from the exterior looking in, seems like the greatest dude in the world. Cam Newton was throwing the ball at people's ankles last season. You know, they kept talking about, well, he's got no weapons. My guy Lawrence Owen, he's a podcaster for the Colts. He does film breakdowns for us. We do a show called Patriots Outsider together, where he gives his opinion on the Patriots because I'm too biased, I'm told. So I bring in an unbiased Colts fan. He did a film room breakdown, and he just showed real mechanical issues in Cam Newton, from the way he throws the ball to different things he does. Cam Newton is not, and one of the problems is Cam Newton has lost a lot of speed. He doesn't have that north-south running anymore. He's still powerful, but he doesn't have that east-west anymore. He's only a north-south runner now. I'm done with Cam Newton regardless. If they don't go with Jimmy Garoppolo, I think right now this is the best time for the Patriots to take a flyer on somebody, and I love Marcus Mariota out of Vegas. I know that the elbow's an issue, right? But Cam Newton's an injury issue as well. I'm surprised we got through a whole season. I know he had COVID, but that's a completely different thing. But I'm surprised that we got through a whole season without him getting injured. I'd love them to take a flyer on Marcus Mariota, because at this point, what do you have to lose, right? Either you're going to be good this year or you're going to suck again. I mean, it does, like, this point, like, who cares, right? So, and you can probably get him for a 6th-round pick. Vegas is trying to move on from him. So I'd love for them to take a flyer on Marcus Mariota and see. I've seen enough of Jameis Winston. I'm not interested in Jameis Winston. But Mariota's a kid. I think that in the right system, we kind of saw it in Vegas when he came in for Carr. I think that he can succeed in places if you can protect him properly.
That would be interesting. That would definitely be interesting. Now, let's stay on a couple people that, may or may not be here. I want to ask you, because I've seen a headline talking about Stefan Gilmore, talking about he may or may not be a Patriot coming up. What are your thoughts on that? And if it is happening, can you maybe talk to your, GM, put in a good word for the Eagles? Because we could definitely use Stefan Gilmore. But what are your thoughts on that?
All right. So Stefan Gilmore is as good as gone from the Patriots. Is from what everything I've read and kind of broke down, I think he's as good as gone. The problem with Stefan Gilmore is he's 31 years old. He's on the final year of a contract, and the way the Patriots worked his contract in a rework last year, he's only getting $7 million in cash. Stefan Gilmore is not going to play for $7 million. He's a $50 million cap hit, but he's going to only make $7 million cash. Therefore, I fully expect him to be traded. There are Patriot fans out there that believe he's still worth a 1st-round pick. By talent on the field, yes, he is, right? He was Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago. He's worth the 1st-round pick. But when you consider that he's coming off of surgery, when you consider whoever takes him is going to have to sign him, is going to have to give him a big contract. We've heard that he wants Jalen Ramsey type of money, right? Which is, top dollar. I think the Patriots are going to be lucky to get a 3rd-round pick for him, maybe a late 2nd. So if Philly wanted him, I think you could easily package a 3rd and a 6th. But remember, there's going to be contract stuff you got to work out, and he's older. And, you guys are in a weird position, I'm going to be honest with Philly, because you got a young quarterback and you've got some young positions, and then you're aging everywhere else on the team. I saw you just brought Kelsey back for another year. Do you want 31-year-old Gilmore on Jalen Ramsey type of money? It's a decision you got to make, right? I mean, he's still great.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. This is where I'm at with that. This is now I want to give away, because I do want to talk about this later, because I do want to ask you before I made a video to kind of see if it was real. Because, sometimes people just blow smoke. But my thing with that is it depends on who we're going to be next year, because there is a possibility that we might be okay. If we're an okay team this year, after this year, we have butt ton of money. So if it's something that we could do maybe mid-year, something like that, and then we kind of, give them 30 mil next year, or, I'm throwing out a dumb number, but, we give them crazy number for 1 or 2 years, I wouldn't be mad at that. If we see ourselves in a position that now we can have a top 2 defense, and, I don't think we'll be there, but there's definitely a scenario where I can see him being a Philadelphia Eagle. I would be not mad at that at all.
Yeah,
but I don't think $80 million.
If you want to get your hands on Gilmore, though, I think it's going to have to happen at the draft. I don't think you're going to be able to get him midseason. Yeah. I think he's going to be a draft guy. See, the Patriots are in a good position because we have J.C. Jackson, well, good position. The reason that I think Gilmore's out is because J.C. Jackson, who was our undrafted free agent from 3 years ago, who plays like a number one corner, he's going to want big money. And from what I understand, and look, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I'm just going off of whatever the media says. So I could be, I'm wrong more than I'm right. So I hope your audience isn't like, oh, this is the expert here, right? Just giving my opinion. But
they watch us, trust me.
When you look at J.C. Jackson, he could easily be the Patriots number one. He's not Stefan Gilmore. Gilmore's the better corner than him. I'm not being dumb about this, but he can easily be the number one. He's going to want big money. Gilmore's going to want big money. Belichick's not going to spend big money on two cornerbacks. I think he goes with J.C. Jackson. That also takes leverage away from the Patriots. I have proposed two different trades to the Cleveland Browns, to be honest with you guys. One being actually that PFF put out, which was a 3rd and a 6th coming from Cleveland for Gilmore. But a more interesting one that I kind of read about and started twisting around myself is the Patriots need a receiver, and you got a receiver there that things didn't quite work out the way you wanted. Why not do, and he's only going to cost you $15 million in salary cap. I mean, I'd be calling going, you want to do a straight up Gilmore for OBJ? We'll take your headache. You take our headache, not from a player standpoint, but from a contract and all that kind of stuff, and kind of exchange different pains and see what happens. So those are two trades I proposed. I think that there's teams that would hurt me to see Gilmore go to. Cleveland's not one. Philly is, just so you guys know. I don't know what hurt more, Philly beating us in 17 or like LeGarrette Blount and Chris Long winning it with you guys. Right? Like that was, so it was kind of like a double whammy, because especially LeGarrette Blount, like he was beloved here, right? So to watch him put over 100 yards and run all over us in the Super Bowl was just like, it was just such a double whammy for Patriots fans.
I could only imagine.
Yeah, it felt good for us though. It still feels good if we're being honest. Now let's transfer a little bit to or shift over, I should say, to the draft a little bit. We could go for hours, honestly. I forgot that we're doing a show for a second. Let's talk quickly about what the Patriots' needs are. What are the goals out of this draft? What positions are you looking to shore up?
All right, so I'm going to put my GM hat on. If I was Bill Belichick, which means anything I say, he's probably going to do the exact opposite. So let's just keep that in mind. It's got to be quarterback, right? I mean, I want them to go young, bring in a bridge guy, take a flyer on Marcus Mariota, go young at quarterback. I'm liking either Trey Lance or Mac Jones. I think those are guys. I think the Patriots will have to trade up to get him, but you won't have to trade into the top 5 to get one of those two. I think you'll be able to get them both in the top 10. Still going to cost money, and draft him with no intentions of that kid seeing the field for a second in 2021. You're the sit down, shut up, and listen type of, you know what I mean? You can play in practice. You want to throw the ball, there's lots of practice time, lots of camp time. We'll give you some preseason games. Don't even look at me when I'm trying to put a quarterback in, because I'd rather Bill Belichick go out and play quarterback than this kid come in. I want him just to learn how to play quarterback. They want to rush things too much, right? You want to rush people too much. You look at some of the great quarterbacks. Brady sat for a year. Mahomes sat for a year. Rodgers sat behind Favre. Lots of great quarterbacks sat behind other quarterbacks. And this is a big if. No, it's not a big if. If they don't take a quarterback in the first round, I would love like a Kyle Pitts, and I want them to not draft him as a tight end. I want him to be our DK Metcalf. I want them to list him as a wide receiver on their draft board and transition him to wide receiver and be our DK Metcalf. Be what N'Keal Harry was supposed to be for us, just a big, strong, dominant force. But that's my excitement fan thinking. When you think about holes, if there's a really good defensive tackle, or what's that guy's name? Micah Parsons, Micah Parsons, the linebacker. We need interior linebacker. We need to stop the run. The Patriots have to stop the run. If they can't stop the run this year, it won't matter what we do on offense, because they're never going to be on the field, because the other teams are just going to run the football on us all game. And it's going to be very limited opportunities. Hightower coming back is huge, but again, he's twilighting at the end of his career. We need his replacement. So that's my thing. I really, really, really wouldn't be surprised if they go defensive in the first round. And I'd be okay with that because the Patriots defense, to be honest with you, is close to being elite again when you look at the pieces we have. Now, there's Patriot fans that are laughing because they only look at offense and think they know what they're talking about when it comes to defense. But when you look at like Chase Winovich and Josh Uche, two dogs out of Michigan, right? You got J.C. Jackson, Jonathan Jones, Hightower's back, Jawan Bentley. You got this sort of young core to build around defense. They're literally 2-3 pieces away from being an elite defense again. If they can pull off a move and get back Kyle Van Noy, who they lost to Miami next year, and I heard Jamie Collins could be released from Detroit. I'm like, let's just reunite the boogeyman. Let's just bring them all back together. I have said the way I would want the Patriots to attack this offseason if they were going for it in 2021. So this is if they sign Jimmy Garoppolo or trade for Garoppolo. Use the offseason, use free agency to address the offense. There's lots of receivers available. Corey Samuel. We're not going to get Allen Robinson or Chris Godwin or Will Fuller. Everybody can get that nonsense out of their head. We know Belichick's not going to pay that kind of money for a receiver, but I think a Corey Davis or Curtis Samuel could be available. You start looking at like Jonnu Smith, the tight end coming out of Tennessee, which could be a good fit, and then use the draft just to shape and finish that defense. And regardless, you make that defense elite. We have Damian Harris, one of the, I think one of the running backs nobody's noticing in the NFL, but he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. They kind of redshirted him his rookie year, and now he just came alive last year. You could see reminiscence of the 2018 Super Bowl team that was great defense, fantastic running that we got out of Sony Michel at the time, and then Patriot fans are going to hate this, and a game-managing quarterback. Because that's what Brady turned into that season. He could do more. We saw it in Tampa, but that season, the offense they were playing, they needed a game-managing quarterback who could make the big play when it needed to be made. And he made the big plays, especially in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. But for a lot of that season, he game-managed as the running game took a lot of it over.
Yeah, I'm just kind of surprised that you would want to take, I guess, a receiver in the draft, only because historically you guys pretty much stink at drafting wide receivers. No offense.
I don't want to take a receiver. I want to take a tight end. True. We haven't stunk at tight ends. We thought that Belichick picked Ben Watson. He picked Gronkowski. He picked Aaron Hernandez. He's pretty much hit on almost every high-end tight end he took.
I'll give you the tight end.
Now you take the tight end and convert him to receiver. Technically, Belichick drafted a tight end, not a wide receiver.
Break the curse.
So I want to say one thing though before we get to the pick. As me and Brandon are both from New England area. We're both from Connecticut. Okay, nobody's gonna look for us. We're both from Connecticut, right? And we are surrounded by Patriot fans. And I just have to say, maybe Brandon disagrees with me, but it is so refreshing to hear someone just so honest about their team. Because I've always been into the thing that it's like, I don't hate the Patriots. Sometimes I just really hate their fan base because it's just a lot of talk, and a lot of times it comes from the Eagles too. But I just love the honesty from you. So thank you for that. We needed that.
And let's be straight up here. Better be no Cam slander from. This is one of my main followers, guys. He's on my Patreon too, Ross. I'm not slandering Cam. Relax.
He just says he doesn't want him back. That's all.
Yeah,
I respect it. Hey, I get it about Carson Wentz all the time, so trust me.
Like listen. I don't hate the Philadelphia. I don't hate anybody. God taught me not to hate, but I don't. If I came close to hating a fan base, if I came close to holding that kind of thing, it would be the Eagles fan base. See what I mean? Like, that's what I said. But I laugh sometimes because when I'm talking about the Eagles fan base and I'm saying things, I know I'm describing 3/4 of the Patriots fan base as well, right? So we kind of go through that thing. So again, you guys extended the olive branch because I was invited on podcasts like this and I could not believe the treatment I got. And I am not like, I'm the worst smack talker in the world. Like, you cannot bring me on a show expecting me to smack talk, because as soon as that starts, I'm like, oh no. I'm like, this is not the show for me. So I do my homework now before I go on shows. See what
I respect that. We've had people on here before, like reporters and players, and they've always said kind of like, what are you going to talk about? Because especially Philly this year has been very dramatic. So it's been me and Brandon having to like call each other like, all right, what are we gonna actually say? This is what we can't say. Let's make sure that we're not getting ourselves in trouble.
Just
shout
so
out
I can
to
tell
Ross, thank you for the $1.99, and shout out to Mr. Philly for the $2.99. I'm sorry about that. I just want to get these in. $2.99. How do you feel about that Super Bowl? We're not going to actually ask you that, but I appreciate the super chats, guys.
But yeah, I try to remind you guys all the time that we're splitting the Super Bowl. It's like everybody's trying to erase. Everybody's always trying to erase the first one. You know?
I forgot about it already. I forgot.
Oh yeah, of course. Listen, I've watched every America's game except for the Philly special game. I'll tell you that much because that one hurts me to the core. Especially the way it ended. Like, so my best friend in the world's a Steelers fan, but he's watched every single Super Bowl with me that the Patriots were in since they're going back to 2001. And when the Patriots got the ball with, I think it was 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes left in the game. I mean, I think they were down by 3 at that time or 4. It wasn't a field goal. Maybe it was 4 or 5. We thought this is the moment, right? This is when Tom Brady, 3 minutes left, right? I mean, I was standing up. I was like, this is what the script writes.
Yeah.
And when he fumbled that football, I mean, right away, I was like, I wasn't shocked. Like, I just sat there and kind of like, no, that's not how this script is written. You know what I mean? Like,
you're yelling out, cut. Hold on,
we lose to Eli, not to Nick Foles. That's what irritates me the most, right? We beat Jared Goff. We beat Donovan McNabb. We beat Kurt Warner. You know, we beat Jake Delhomme, who was a good quarterback at the time. We beat some great Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson, and the Legion of Boom. But we've lost 3 Super Bowls to Eli Manning and Nick Foles. You know, like that's what I think just like hurts me inside the most. It's like, it's why everybody's like, is Eli a Hall of Famer? I'm like, well, if Brady's the GOAT because he has 7 rings, I'm like, Eli has to be considered for the Hall. I'm like, because if you use individual accomplishments to win an argument, he's won 2 Super Bowls, right? Like, so anyways, I know Philly fans don't want to hear that. I just wanted to rile everybody up a little bit.
I was going to say, we might have to just like talk one day and like do this live and just hash out the Super Bowl then, because it is kind of cool hearing it from your side, to be honest. I know it sucks rehashing it, but it is cool to hear it from your side because it's like, I know how I felt, you know what I'm saying? And you guys have like 20 freaking Super Bowls. One isn't going to kill you, you know, one isn't.
You know what? I'm happy you guys felt that joy of a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Because I think at times, as Patriot fans, we took, like, I think about the 2014 Super Bowl and how I felt when we beat Seattle, when we had that 10-year gap in between winning Super Bowls. When we beat the Rams, the last Super Bowl, which was actually when I wanted Brady to retire, to be honest with you, because I thought, how perfect would it be to bookend your Super Bowls with the Rams? You know, you win your first one against them. But when we won that Super Bowl, let's put it this way, I've come to the point as a Patriots fan now that I react harder to losses than I react to wins. You know, like I feel a loss a lot harder than I feel joy for a win, because winning just became expected. And I'm not trying to sound arrogant when I say that, but it really did. It felt
the norm.
Well, there was a time. Okay, my daughter was born in 2011. Up until last year, 2 years ago, like she thought it was her birthright to watch the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, because from the day she was born till 2 years ago, they were in the AFC Championship game. She was 9 years old. You know what I mean? So it just became expected. So when you did lose, it was just gut wrenching. And I know you guys didn't feel for us. Nobody in the league felt for us. I stayed off of Twitter for a week because I couldn't, you know. And when we lost to Philly, first of all, when we lost to Philly, I really thought the dynasty was done at that point, to be honest with you. Like I thought like that was it. Like that was supposed to be sort of the finale, you know. He wins his 6th and it's over. I really didn't expect us to win it in 18. Like that one came more shocking to me. After we beat the Chiefs, I knew we were winning the Super Bowl. I knew we weren't losing to the Rams, you know, but I didn't know if we were going to survive Arrowhead. Like there was so much going against the Patriots that year. When you look at that team against Philly, I mean, it doesn't play Malcolm Butler. It's like everything that could have possibly, and Malcolm Butler wouldn't have made a difference. He doesn't stop the run. You guys put up almost like 300 yards in rushing yards, let alone what you did passing. It wouldn't have made, I tell people all the time, it wouldn't have made a difference. Like it wouldn't have made a difference whatsoever if Malcolm Butler played. Like that offense was clicking so much. And, you know, at the end of the day, when you look at the final score, Nick Foles caught the ball and Tom Brady didn't. And that was almost one of the biggest deciding factors of, I mean, that Philly special doubling up, that halftime score, like that was what sealed the game. Like, I know the game was still in reach and whatever, but that was like, it's a different game if you don't score that touchdown. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that bitterly. I'm just from pure analytical spec. And I mean, what, and I hate saying this. Shout out to Nick Foles, you know, when they're sitting there going, I want to run the ball. Let's do this. And he's going, no, Philly special. Well, you want the Philly special? Yeah, Philly special. And you got when you're Nick Foles, you think about it. You've lost your starting job everywhere you've went. You know, you're only here because the star quarterback who was going to be MVP that year, which I wish he would have won MVP, then you guys wouldn't have won the Super Bowl because we all know the MVP jinx, right? But no, but you know, he would have been MVP that year. You're only playing in this game because he got hurt. And you have the fortitude to call that play, because that wasn't, you know, your coach. It wasn't Doug Peterson. That was him. That was him saying, I want the Philly special. And they said, all right, go for it. And I'm like, I don't like you, but I got to respect you for having the, you know. And then basically when I saw that clip, I was like, I can't watch America's game because it's going to kill me to watch that.
That was a clip that will go down in Philly history forever.
Well, there's a statue, right?
That's what we're named after. I mean, if you look at the right next to your face, the logo is literally the Philly.
Oh, I caught on when I saw Philly. I knew exactly what it meant.
He's like, oh, I knew.
I knew exactly what it meant. Trust me.
But to bring it back to the draft a little bit, you're sitting at number 15, I believe, right? We're at the 15th pick, and we typically ask people, would you want to trade back? I'm kind of curious. Would you want to trade back? Would you want to trade up or stay at 15 now that we're in the middle of this draft?
Can I give you two answers? Because I really don't have a definitive answer. If they're going for a quarterback, then I want them to stay there or trade up, whatever they think they can do to get the quarterback that they want. That they have to believe in the quarterback, right? They have to believe in the quarterback. If they're not going for a quarterback, because of the amount of holes that we have to, I say we, like I have anything to do with it. The amount of holes that the Patriots have to fill on the team, that 15th is valuable. And you could end up with another second and possibly a third and end up with some premium picks in lower rounds. I'd have zero issues with them trading back if they're not going for a quarterback. Here's the thing. Don't take a 4th round quarterback and say, let's see if we can turn him into something. You know, like if you believe in your quarterback, get your quarterback of the future, go for it. If Bill's going for it this year, though, he might just say, forget it. I'm trading out of the 1st and I'm going to go get a 2nd. And people talk a lot about the Bill Belichick draft, but look at the damage he does in the 3rd and 4th rounds with guys he brings in. You know, Damian Harris, Chase Winovich, Josh Uche, Aaron Hernandez before he, you know, became a murderer. And there's more, but you go through that list of those guys. Mike Onwenu this year, who was one of our best offensive linemen. He's a 5th round draft pick, right? Like he does damage in those lower rounds. So I would rather, if they're not going for a quarterback, to trade back, accumulate those picks. Cause like I said, we have about 8 positions we need to fill. 8. This isn't we're not a couple of holes. We're not Philly who, if the offensive line is healthy this year and we get one more, you know, re-sign Aguilar and then get one more receiver, you know, we got a run game, we got this, we got that, a couple things on defense, and we got great corners. No, we're like, we need 2 receivers. We need a tight end. We need a defensive tackle. We need an edge rusher. Like we need, you know, we don't have a kicker, you know, like there's a lot of positions that need to be filled. So if they're going to go for it, they need the pick. So if they're not taking a quarterback for the future and they are going for it this year, I'd rather see them trade back.
All right. Now, last question I want to ask you before we get into the actual pick. Everybody has their dream draft. Everybody has the way that they want it to go, perfectly laid out. But everybody has that one thing that they do not want to see. What is that one thing that you do not want to see at that 15th pick or, you know, just day one in general? What is that one thing you don't want to see?
Well, our big joke on our show is, and we say it almost every day, is Connor and I are moving to Florida if he drafts a punter, a kicker, or a long snapper in the first round, right? So that's, if you want me in Florida, anybody who's there, it's hope that he drafts one of those. I don't want to see them draft an offensive lineman in the first round, because basically most of our offensive linemen that have hit huge all come in the later rounds. Isaiah Wynn, who's a good offensive lineman but is hurt every year, was besides Nate Solder, is probably the best we've had in a while, and he's always injured. Bill Bell, Philly's a little bit like this too. I don't think that we completely understand I always say, and I think Philly's the same because I've watched your team for a lot of years. I always say that offensive linemen are dime a dozen because we always seem to just bring in new offensive linemen. But then I start talking to other fan bases and they're like, no, they're not. You know what I mean? They're not dime a dozens. Where I think Pittsburgh fans say like receivers are dime a dozens because they just seem to just, they bring them in from everywhere. So I know that Belichick can go in the 4th and 5th round and pick up. I mean, we have one of the top centers in the league. He was a UDFA that nobody in the league looked at. Our best offensive lineman last year, our best tackle last year was a 5th round draft pick. So don't take an offensive lineman. You can get one in the late rounds that no one's looking at that is going to be great. Let everybody else waste their first round pick on some of the big boys who may not even look at the Giants. I mean, I was so happy for their pick last year because I really liked him. What's his name? I forget his name, but his footwork is awful. He struggled the whole, I watched him and his footwork was terrible. So yeah, don't pick an offensive lineman.
All right, I love that he was terrible for the Giants. That's always a good thing for us. But so now the moment people have been waiting for, man. At the number 15 pick, who are the Patriots going to be selecting?
They're not selecting at number 15. They're going to be selecting at number 8, and they're going to be taking Mac Jones. That is my prediction. That's my prediction. Mac Jones out of Alabama. Pocket quarterback, fits the Patriots system. He's not Tom Brady, but he looks enough like Tom Brady. He's even got the dad bod going on. He's not going to, he probably runs a little bit better than Brady, but not much. He fits. Where I'll defend Cam Newton is the Patriots did not know how to use Cam Newton. Josh McDaniels, the offensive genius, did not know how to use Cam Newton last season. They don't know. Yeah, he figured out the RPOs, but he had no idea how to use a mobile quarterback. Mac Jones hits every box. Cannon of an arm, accurate, slow, in the pocket. You know what I mean? Safe throws, confident in the pocket, loves throwing underneath. I mean, that's the Patriots offense. So I got them trading up, and I got them selecting Mac Jones.
See, now, like I've said this before on previous ones. I've said that I think he's probably like a day 2 guy, possibly a late first round guy. And I thought as early as the Patriots. You guys were like the only team that I could really see get the best out of him. I think you're 100% right, though. I like the kid. People are connecting him to the Eagles, so people may think that I hate him. I just hate him at number 6. I definitely do not want him at number 6.
The last thing you guys need to do is draft a quarterback this year, okay? You don't need that trouble there. All right? You don't
Tell Howie that.
Listen, when they took Jalen, first of all, I think y'all going to like Jalen Hurts. I don't know how you feel about him, but he was who I wanted the Patriots to take last year. Honestly, that was my quarterback pick out of everybody available. I loved Jalen Hurts. Thought he was totally underrated going into that draft. I couldn't believe that he fell to the second round, to be honest with you. Over Jordan, I couldn't believe Jordan Love got taken over Jalen Hurts. Let's put it that way. Green Bay made a mass mistake as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, but the one team that didn't need Jalen Hurts was the team with the franchise quarterback that they paid $1 billion to, and I'm like, when that happened and all this stuff started happening, I was like, Philly brought it on themselves. I'm like, you put yourself in this hole of your quarterback now feels like his job is threatening. He's trying too hard and he looks even worse. And I'm like, why would you? I know what you want. You wanted your next Nick Foles sitting in the back, but he's not your next Nick Foles. He's way better than Nick Foles. Like, this kid's a starting quarterback in the NFL. Why would you do this to Carson? Unless the plan was the whole time to move on from Carson. They realized they were in a bad contract and it was time to go. I don't know. Can I ask you guys a question? Since I don't talk to a lot of Philly fans because I don't want to. So since you guys are here,
what's up?
I want to ask you. You're going through this season. You got Carson Wentz, who's sucking. And I really want to know this because the guy, it's in 10 minutes. So I'm going to have to jump off soon. The guy I'm going to be on in within 10 minutes is a Colts fan. So I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on this because he's pumping up Carson Wentz after he trashed the guy for 2 months. But you got Carson, he's Pat McAfee, and he brings in his inner Pat McAfee. But you had Carson Wentz, and you had Jalen Hurts. Were you calling for Jalen Hurts to play? And were you happy with Carson Wentz being traded out?
I'll let Brandon go first.
I was gonna say Joe was calling for Jalen Hurts since like week 2. Every game, every game at halftime. There was one game when we played the Cowboys the first time when Ben DiNucci was starting, where Carson had like 4 turnovers in the first half, and I was ready for him just to be pulled that game, get benched that game, and then come back the next week and see what happens. That didn't happen. They kind of allowed Carson to just kind of keep going down. So eventually, yeah, I was ready at the point toward the end of the season, like, all right, it's time to get Jalen. And I still thought maybe Carson would get to battle for his position back. But as soon as like the Tuesday hit after he got pulled, Doug Peterson's like, yeah, Jalen Hurts is the starter. So Carson didn't even get a chance to fight back. I'm excited about this. Like you said, you just hope he doesn't get hurt. But for us Eagles fans, we just need to see him play 75% of his snaps so we can get a first-round pick the following year. So I'm not going to sit here and say I hope everything goes well for him. I just hope he doesn't get hurt. Otherwise, I'm cool with Jalen Hurts. I'm excited for something new, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I've been calling for like you said, I've been calling for Carson to be out of that game, out of the team for a while. I mean, not off the team, but as a starter. I've been calling for Jalen Hurts for a while. I just think you see the same exact here. You see, people. This is what my audience thinks of me when I talk about Wentz. But no, I've seen the same thing from Carson Wentz since before the Cincinnati Bengals game. That's when I really looked at him and I was like, damn, this boy is going to do the same exact thing every time. Every time. So bring this to your Colts fan, and this is what I'll leave you with as a little nugget. And this is me being 100% honest. He has all the talent in the world. But one thing that will ruin talent is stubbornness. And unfortunately, he brings a lot of that to the game as well. I think that he can be a great player if he listens to his coaching. He hasn't done that here. Don't know why he would do it in Indianapolis.
Well, do you think that could I jump in with that?
Yeah.
Did he listen to Frank Reich when he was there with you guys? That's my question.
It doesn't seem like it because realistically, all right, yes, people say that he likes Frank, and it seems now that he likes Frank. You know, they have that bond. But, you know, he was arguing with Flip, and Flip was probably his best quarterbacks coach. So I don't know who he liked. You know, there's a lot of drama going on with the front office in general. Eagles, like, you know, this is definitely the pot calling the kettle black or whatever you want to. This is definitely that. But, like, he had his part in this drama, too. You know, he definitely had his part. And I definitely don't like the fact that he ran away from competition, in my opinion. So, you know, it is what it is. Take it with a grain of salt. I might be a little bit salty, you know, but take it as you may. I just don't think that I don't think he's going to do that well in the end.
Listen, if I can be salty towards Tom Brady, you can be salty towards Carson Wentz, okay?
We would be here for another hour if we were just
exactly. Yeah, I was just going to say, but you said it perfectly.
Well, that's
it's about the name on the front, not the name on the back. That's what it's all about for me.
I got a split. I love having it on here with you. I want to have you guys on my channel because I got a ton of questions I want to ask you, especially about the coaching hire, because I heard the players like the guy. I heard the organization and everybody within the organization loved the guy who's already been there forever. And for some reason, the front office decided to go out and get an old white guy. So I just want to you know what I mean? I want to get deeper. There's stuff about Philly I want to know. So if you guys are open, I'll send you a message. We can hook up. You guys can come on our podcast and have a chat. Sound good?
Of course. Yeah, definitely. Thanks for coming on, bro. Like, we usually do these only like 20, 30 minutes, but this was just a good conversation.
Zach Jones can be a good pick and not look like Ryan Mallett or something, you know?
Ryan Mallett.
But one more time before you go, man, let them know where they can find you, bro.
Find me over on my YouTube page, Dear Pats Nation. We also have a podcast that comes out 5 days a week called Dear Pats Nation. That comes out Monday to Friday. We record that podcast live Sunday to Thursday. Follow us on our Twitter page at Dear Pats Nation, but you can also follow me personally at DPN_Ray. Look, we got a lot of people. My main people are Connor and Sarah. They're good people. We're not your typical hater Patriot fans. They're 2 homers, and I try to keep everybody grounded. So we have we got a bunch of Philly fans who actually watch us and don't troll us. So they kind of opened the door, and then you guys gave me the olive branch. So, but yeah, we talk mostly just Patriots, but here's my thing, guys. Here's our mentality. For anybody who's wondering what you can find over at our thing, football is a game and football is fun. You're never going to see us mad. We do this because we have fun talking about it. We love it. It's a game. Like the conversation tonight, nobody got mad, even when you guys were talking smack about one Super Bowl, your one Super Bowl dynasty. I heard it. Football's fun, man, and football's supposed to have fun. So come check us out. I had fun here, so I'm going to I've become a fan of this podcast, just so you know. I'm going to pick your brain, too, because I've been around a lot longer than you, and I don't have players doing interviews, so I got to find out how you guys do that. So we'll hook up. You guys doing a great job. Keep it going. I love your vibes, and keep it fun, man. Football's fun. Come check us out, Dear Pats Nation.
Definitely. And thank you, everybody that came in here, chilled out. Shout out to all the channel members. But we are about to get out of here, man, and y'all know what it is. It is Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out here. Peace!